Hey, welcome to another episode of the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. This is the first podcast episode of the new year. It is now 2023. And I really sincerely hope you enjoyed the top 10 countdown that I put out last week or the last 10 days of 2022. I'm highlighting a lot of our best episodes ever. And incidentally, with the re-release of a lot of episodes, we hit a couple new milestones. The podcast itself hit 200,000 downloads at the end of the week last week. Actually, it was the 30th. So the day before the end of the year, we hit the 200,000 download mark for the entire existence of the podcast, which has now been 30 months. We started in July 2020, and it's been 30 full months of existence. So something else that I did just check, we hit 108,000 downloads in 2022 alone. So it took us about 19 months to hit 100,000 downloads, and then 11 months to hit the second 100,000. So, we're going to talk a little bit about goals today, but I think we're going to crush that in 2023. Something I want to talk about today is, it is the end of the year. It's a natural time for people to stop and reflect on the previous year and to make plans and goals for the upcoming year. And that's no different for me. I've kind of spent the last week or so really contemplating what the future should look like. So first thing I'm going to do is just reflect, and hopefully you guys can find some similarities or, find some time to reflect yourself, and, maybe you'll pick up a thing or two. I don't know, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's good for me. Looking back at 2022, I think one of the biggest things for me was my decision to leave Four Oaks. And I made the decision around February, and hadn't really told anybody. I think I started telling people early April that I was going to leave the company. And, it didn't actually leave until end of June, early July. So it took a little while to get the legal, paperwork and figure out how that would look like. But for me, that at the time, it was a real setback. And I didn't realize how much of a setback it would be because a lot of my future plans, especially when it concerned multifamily, all revolved around, Four Oaks Capital. And my role in Four Oaks Capital, I had grown into a certain role. And when I left Four Oaks, I had to sit down and really rethink what the future would look like. And, I got to do that once again this week after 6 months away from the company and figure out where I really want to go. And I am super excited. And I hope you guys can find the same excitement about the future. But I was able to keep the podcast alive, keep the podcast with me. It's kind of like the kid leaving the court, basketball court. I'm leaving and taking my ball with me. I was fortunate enough to negotiate keeping the podcast and keeping the Tribe of Titans, which is going to be a big part of my upcoming goals. So looking back at more reflection, I was also able to become a key principal on 2 properties, where my primary role on these properties is a key principal. Basically what that means is I'm a mentor and an advisor to some newer apartment owners. And I also am a loan signatory, one of the loan guarantors, making sure that the new group could qualify for a loan program. So that was brand new to me. I would love to see much more of that in the future. So if you're in a spot where you need some guidance on apartments and you have something under contract and you may need help qualifying for a loan, reach out to me. We'll discuss it. Something else, first time ever, I came in as a co-GP on a property, which means that I raised capital for somebody else's deal. Like I said, very first time I did it, for me, that was kind of an interim solution to my long-term goal. I left Four Oaks Capital and I said, what's the easiest way for me to continue to be involved in apartments? And the answer was raise capital for others and be a key principal. So that's where that came in. I also got into my first JV opportunity, which was something else I hadn't done yet. So my first JV opportunity, 4 of us came together. We bought 61 units in Akron, Ohio. And, that deal is performing fairly well already. It's only been a couple of months, 3 or 4 months now, but excited about the opportunities there as well. So another first for me. And then I spoke at 2 multifamily conferences live on stage. Love every opportunity to do that. Anytime anybody, I learned a long time ago, anytime anybody gives you an opportunity to stand on a stage and talk, to say yes, and Doesn't matter what it is, just figure out what we're going to say later. But so I spoke at the Multifamily Mindset Peak Partnership event in April and the GOB Network Conference in Chicago in July. Both were amazing opportunities. Shout out to both of those great groups of people and really good conferences as well. As far as the tribe, looking back at what I did with the tribe, and admittedly, this kind of fell off the tracks a little bit because, I wasn't sure what the future was. There's kind of a 2 or 3 month period where the tribe and the podcast were both in limbo. And a lot of the goals I had for 2022 with the Tribe of Titans, I did not accomplish. And I feel bad about it, but in retrospect, it's given me a lot of new energy to be able to take this and push this forward. So what did I do last year? Well, I started a capital raising course, which was something that, I started writing the course while I was with Four Oaks and launched it, after I had departed. But I also instituted weekly underwriting calls. So every Thursday we have a call, and it's pretty awesome. If you remember the Tribe of Titans, I think it's one of the better things that we do is, every week we hop on for an hour on Zoom and we talk about underwriting. We'll underwrite properties. We've done a lot of reviews on different underwriting tools. We've talked about, like the Michael Blanc syndicated deal analyzer. We've pulled out, a lot of different analyzers, like the synthesis one from I don't remember the group's name, but the multifamily synthesis analyzer or something like that. But that was probably my favorite one. Anyway, we also had a couple of the members of the tribe step up and start different events. We have a book of the month club. So tonight at 7 p.m. and it's going to be too late. By the time this podcast airs, it's too late. But tonight we have an event where some tribe members are leading a book of the month club. And we also have a pitch practice event, which is really, really awesome. Probably something I need the most. Anyway, moving on to review of last year, I also started 2 funds. There are customizable funds through Avestor, and it allows me to, bring investors into a fund and use the fund to invest into a lot of different opportunities. So if you're a passive investor and you're interested in investing, I'm going to have a lot of deals coming up in 2023. Some of them are going to be ones that I sponsor. I'll talk about that later. And some of them are going to be deals that other people sponsor as well. And now what's even more exciting is talking about the future, talking about 2023. And, some of these things, like I said, leaving Four Oaks was a momentary setback, I think. And, there were several months in 2022 where I was just like, okay, what next? I know I need to leave. I know I want to leave, but what's coming up next? And a lot of the goals that I have for 2023 are things that 4 or 5 years ago, pre Four Oaks, when I closed my eyes and imagined the future, this is how I imagined the future, and there's some of the things that maybe I made some concessions when joining Four Oaks and partnering with them. But I think my foremost big goal for 2023 is jumping into the Salt Lake Metro as an apartment owner. So my goal is to acquire at least 2 properties in the Salt Lake City metro area, minimum purchase price of $5 million. And wait, you might say, hey, that's a lower purchase price than the last three syndications you did or last 4 syndications you did. But it's a new market for me. It's a different environment for both lending and capital raising. And oh, by the way, this is just the tip of the iceberg, or to use another metaphor, the proverbial foot in the door, because Salt Lake City is going to be my focus for acquisitions for many years ahead. My second big goal for 2023 is to hire an acquisition specialist, a full-time hire, somebody who's working, 40 or so hours a week, with the sole purpose of finding really, really good deals in the Salt Lake City metro area. And, I define Salt Lake City metro, as anywhere along the Wasatch Front, if you're familiar with that. But basically, Weber County, Davis County, Salt Lake County, and Utah County, right along that mountain range. So that's what my focus is going to be. And one thing that I want my acquisition specialists, I want them to live in one of those 4 counties. We could potentially make exceptions for adjacent counties, Wasatch County, Tooele, or Morgan counties. But anyway, long story short, if you live in one of those areas or you're willing to relocate to one of those areas and you're interested in being a full-time acquisition specialist, what I will offer is a salary plus performance-based bonuses. And, I've got cash in the bank right now for, 1 to 2 years worth of salary. So, it's something that I am looking to do. And something that I ask for your guys' help as listeners. Anybody who's interested in that, have them reach out to me, Brian@streamlinecapitalgroup.com. I do give my email address out to anybody who wants it, really. And it's typically in the show notes, so not a big deal. Also, LinkedIn, people can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. All right. Another big goal for this year, and something, like I said, the tribe, my momentum slowed down. It almost came to a full stop when I decided to leave Four Oaks, because that was a Four Oaks product. But my goals for this year with the tribe is, like I said, I launched the capital raising course last year, launched an underwriting course, and then build the underwriting course out to turn it into a deal finding course. And once I have that deal finding course, the raising capital course, I'm going to launch a coaching program. It's something that's been in the works for a long time. And oh, by the way, I love teaching. I love helping people. Before I joined the military in 2001, I was on a path to be a professional teacher. That's what I wanted to do. I was in graduate school to get a graduate degree in math. I've got a bachelor's and master's. I was in a PhD program, and I was in a PhD program for math because I wanted to teach. And I was good at math. Didn't realize it at the time, but math doesn't excite me as much as real estate does. So what I am super excited for is to be able to launch this coaching program, and it'll probably launch, Q3 of this year. So if that's something you guys are interested in, the best thing for you to do right now is to join the Tribe of Titans, because the Tribe of Titans is where I'm going to pull my first set of coaching students, or whatever you want to call the cohort. They'll have the first opportunity on any of the new things that are coming out. So that said, lots of big goals for me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for, letting me talk about what I did last year. And incidentally, I had a lot of big goals for last year, and I gave a long list of accomplishments. It ended up being a lot less than I wanted to do in 2022. And like I said, part of it was, hey, interest rates went up a ton, and it made buying a little more difficult. But the other part, like I said, was me leaving the company that I'd been with for several years. But 2023, I think all those goals are very, very achievable with the right people in place. And so, once again, if you want to be a part of any of that, reach out to me. First thing I want to do, as far as that goes, right people in place, is to hire an acquisition specialist. So if you're interested in that, like I said, give me a shout out, let me know. Hey, if you like that episode, make sure to subscribe. But more importantly, if you haven't joined our multifamily educational community yet, which we call the Tribe of Titans, you are missing out. Get 30 days free by clicking the link in the description to this episode, or go to thetribeoftitans.info, and we'll see you there.